Hello, and welcome to Candidates Night 2017, sponsored by WLTS TV21 and the Close-Up Club. Tonight, we welcome candidates for Township Committee in Lacey Township, Democrat Jesse Ernstrom and Republican Nick Giuliano. 4 student panelists will each ask questions to the candidates, and they will respond in a pre-selected random order. Tonight, we are welcoming members from the Close-Up Club to ask the questions: Isaac Edelhauser, Hafiza Pateki, Cody Carpenter, and Dominic Butchko. Mr. Giuliano, you will answer first, with a question asked by Isaac. Isaac?
There are relatively few businesses that offer career opportunities in Lacey. Do you think that this is something that needs to be changed? What will you do to encourage our local economy?
As I did in the past, we look forward to, as a township, to bring in other businesses into town. We're looking forward to redevelopment of Lacey Road and Route 9 for the plan endorsement, so we can get businesses in town to increase the job opportunities that we have in town for different careers. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Giuliano. Mr. Ernstrom?
I believe that a lot of the corporations that have moved into Lacey Township over the past decade or so, they offer minimum wage jobs, but they don't offer career opportunities. We need more mom and pop businesses. If the corporations are going to be in our town and profit off of our town, I think that they need to be taxed appropriately as well. I believe that most of the businesses such as Walmart got a huge tax break to move into this town, and they might still be profiting off of that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Giuliano, is there anything you'd like to add or rebut?
Yes, I do. Well, that's not true, because a lot of businesses that come to town, there's plenty of opportunity to grow in a company, as he mentioned in Walmart and the rest of them. There's plenty of opportunities to grow with them companies, as any company there is. I head up a company too that there's always career opportunities for any business, whether it be mom and pop or big. It's what you make out of it and what you want to do to make that move to go up, and there's plenty of opportunity out there. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Ernstrom, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next question will be asked by HP. HP?
Many residents are concerned with drug abuse and the opiate crisis. Patch.com cites that Lacey is the 18th worst town for heroin in the state. How do you plan to address this and its lasting damaging effects on individuals and more specifically families?
Mr. Giuliano, your response.
Well, I think we've been, over the years, we've been so proactive with that to increase the police force. And we started that with the school resource officer for the first time that's in the schools. We're out there, and as I've always said in the past, when you hear things in the newspaper, the media, whatever you may hear it, that means that our police department, as well as everybody in town, we're doing our job to get them things off of the street. Like I said, the school resource officer was a good opportunity for you to intermingle with the students in there and get everything that needs to be done in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ernstrom, your response?
This year, the Blue Heart program was implemented by our chief of police, which was a great step in the right direction. We do a lot of education within the schools and everything like that to get people aware of what's going on around us. Unfortunately, education isn't where we can stop. We need to look into more treatment opportunities, like expanding the Blue Heart program. And I believe we need to look at these drug addicts not as criminals, but more so as in trouble, and they need help. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Giuliano, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I do. I don't believe that we, in this town, we look at the drug addicts in that fact. Everybody has a problem, and I think we're so proactive with our police department and municipal alliance to help them in every fashion we can. So I think we're doing a good job in this town, and I think the residents are doing a good job as well as we are, and the different organizations that fight the drug issue that we have. And every town has it, but I think we're doing a great job with our police department and everybody that heads that up. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ernstrom, anything else?
We are doing a great job, but we can always do better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next question will be asked by Cody. Cody, question?
The rates of participation in local elections, including ours, are very low, possibly signaling a lack of interest or dissatisfaction with political parties and candidates. Do you find this concerning, and if so, what do you think should be done to fix this?
Mr. Giuliano, your response.
Repeat that, please.
Sure.
Yeah.
Local election spectator numbers have dwindled. Does this concern you, and if so, how do you plan on increasing these numbers?
Well, as we do in everything, everybody has that right to get out and vote, and everybody should. And to get it out there is whether to be by the press or people. A lot of these things are done by word of mouth, and I think we need to get people out there. It's your right to vote, and whether it to be for whoever you may feel is correct, it's your given right to do that. And we press it upon everybody and everybody I speak to, and I tell them, you have to get out and vote. And I think the younger people are starting to see that, and we're starting to see them come out to vote more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giuliano. Mr. Ernstrom, your response?
Well, we had a primary on June 6th, I believe it was. I believe 13% of registered voters came out to vote, which is a huge issue. I think in order to solve an issue like that, we have to advertise as much as possible, get on Facebook Live with everything. If something's happening, public needs to know. Social media, it's 2017, we can get the word out there very quickly, very promptly. It's possible to get more voters aware of what's happening in their township, and I believe that that's something, advertising our town meetings is something that would help a lot, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ernstrom. Mr. Giuliano, is there anything you'd like to add?
Well, I think we do a good job out there. I think people know that, like I said in the question that was asked, word of mouth and how we get people out there and make them understand. And I think it's better than having that in the newspaper or anything, is to verbally talk to somebody. And that's what you have to do. You have to get out there and let the people know how important it is to get out and vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ernstrom?
Nothing more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next question will be asked by Dominic. Dominic?
According to the Asbury Park Press, 500 local jobs and millions of dollars come from the Oyster Creek Power Plant, which is scheduled to close in December of 2019. How do you plan to address the upcoming crisis, and is it possible that Lacey will find an adequate replacement for it? Do you also think that Lacey Township will be the same after the closing of the power plant?
Thank you. Mr. Giuliano, your response, please.
Yes. I do. When I first got on the committee 3 years ago, this was something we started working on to attract a new power source for Oyster Creek in the gas-powered plant issue. To stabilize the tax receipts from the power plant, everything is a concern, which we were proactive 3 years ago on trying to get that working, which we're in the process now of, and we're working very hard to get an ultimate source in there so we can keep the tax revenue up there. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ernstrom, your response?
Essentially, the power plant has a decommission time period of almost 50 to 60 years. So it's going to take a while. It's not just like the power plant drops off in 2019 and 600 employees or so, I believe, that live in the area are fired. They'll have their jobs. It's going to be tough. I believe the gas power plant is a excellent alternate. But at the same time, right now, the gas lines in the ground aren't the right size to cover almost 650 megawatts of energy put out by the nuclear power plant. So we need to do more than just the gas power plant. I like renewable energy. I like solar farms. I like wind farms a lot. I brought it up at the committee prior, and they seem to think that the market is dead for that. I strongly disagree. and I believe that our next governor will help with renewable energies, very much so. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Giuliano, you have the floor for a rebuttal.
Yes, I do. He did bring up the gas line, which was an issue to come to the plant. As we found out in the past, just recently, that gas line that's there is sufficient to run a 500 megawatt plant there. We're happy with what that results became of, so a bigger line, they just have to increase the volume there. So, like I said, I think it's no doubt it's there, and it surprised a lot of people, but it is there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giuliano. Mr. Ernstrom, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Our next question will be asked by Isaac. Isaac, you have the floor.
Some would say Lacey is very difficult to traverse without a car or other motor vehicle. Do you think this is an issue? Would having a town center or similar hub be beneficial to the cohesiveness of our town? Do you have a vision for the future of our township?
Mr. Giuliano, your response, please.
What was the first part of that question?
Some would say Lacey is very difficult to traverse without a car or other motor vehicle. Do you think this is an issue?
No, I don't. I think I think you have a lot of different opportunity there. If you're talking about transportation, you have your local, the buses, and different things to get. I mean, is that your question you're asking? Is if cars are an issue for transportation?
Well, mostly that the ability for people to get around the town, and if having a center to the town where people could get together, for example, would be beneficial.
Oh, okay. You mean like a community center?
Sort of.
Sort of like a community center. Yes, it's an opportunity. I'm the type of person that's been on that committee. I don't believe in selling. There's real estate. I think what we have in the town, we can make better for the youth in the town, different organizations that I've been proactive on getting different things done for the town. So yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ernstrom, your response, please.
Public transportation is a tough issue. It's more like statewide, NJ Transit. Doing something local would be almost expensive to either the township or to the person looking for the public transportation themselves. I believe a community center, such as we have lots of events at Gilly Park hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. We have Trunk or Treat. There was tons of people. Stuff like that, bringing people together is tough because people are busy. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ernstrom. Mr. Giuliano, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, not really. No.
And Mr. Ernstrom, anything else?
No, thanks.
All right, thank you. Our next question is by HP. HP, your question, please.
Aging infrastructures have been a topic of concern recently on the state and national level. What can we do as a township to make sure that our roads, parks, and facilities continue to be maintained and updated?
Mr.
Giuliano, your response, please.
Well, that question is a good question because I'm the liaison to the parks in this town. I think our parks are probably, if anybody's been through them, has seen that they're probably #1 in the county. If not, I would say they're almost #1 in the state. We keep them maintained. We have the best crew back there to make sure that they stay in the prestige that they are in. We look forward to different things in the town we're going to be doing to make it even better to the next step. That's what I plan on doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ernstrom, your response, please.
Our parks are extremely nice parks. I'm sure you've all been to Gilly Park and Hebrew Park. I guess they're redoing Huffy Park right now. They definitely keep up on the parks. One issue that I do have is that we're building new roads. We're planning on building a new road while we have potholes in our current roads. And I disagree with starting a project and not finishing it. So I think in order to move forward successfully with new roads, I think we need to worry about the roads that we have now. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Giuliano, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes. As everything, to running a town is like running a business. You can only budget yourself so many things per year. We have done many projects in the last 3 years and prior to that of different things. I'm sure he's been talking about the road that's going in from Home Depot to Lacey Road. That is a need for the town. It's to get the traffic off to Lacey Road and to Route 9. So I think that's what's mostly talked about. But we have done a lot of projects on the roads and look forward to more. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ernstrom, would you like to add anything?
Nothing, thank you.
All right, thank you. Our next question is brought to us by Cody. Cody, your question, please.
As a representative of the Democratic and Republican parties, respectively, do you feel that all political ideologies are given a fair chance in township dealings?
Mr. Giuliano, your response.
Yes, I do. We keep upon ourselves as running this township on the Democratic and Republican side. I listen to everybody that's out there, whether it to be any type of issue. We take care of it. We get it done. Like I said, it doesn't really matter. Any issue that they have, we do. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ernstrom, your response.
I believe that there are other parties as well. There are third parties that don't get recognized whatsoever, but that's not so much a local issue than it is a national issue. But I believe each party represents itself with the people that they bring out. So essentially, every party is treated fairly. But in Ocean County, Republicans have more pull, and that's why it might seem like other parties are treated less fairly, because there's more of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Giuliano, is there anything you'd like to add?
Yes, I do. Well, as he mentioned about the Republican Party having more, the Democrat, it doesn't really matter. It's the concern level that whether each party has to the things that are going on in the county or in the local, in our thing, it would be the local in Lacey Township. I believe that, we come out and we get it done, and it doesn't really matter. It's what we get it done, is as long as it gets done, what needs to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ernstrom, anything else you'd like to add?
Nothing more. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is brought to us by Dominic. Dominic, your question, please.
Overall, why are you the best candidate to help fix problems Lacey Township faces now and in the future?
Mr. Giuliano, your response, please.
Well, I've owned 2 successful businesses, one in Manahawk and one here in Lacey Township for many years. And I bring my business aspect, and I also worked with the company that bought me out. I was their VP of operations for a while, and now I work for a bigger company, which I handle the budgets, the HR, and I handle 305 people. So I think I know about the business end of it to keep Lacey Township going in the direction that it's going, and keep it going in that right direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giuliano. Mr. Ernstrom, your response, please.
I believe reach and response is a huge part of becoming a part of the committee and making the township a better place. I reach out as much as I can to people that live in Lacey Township, and I encourage questions to be asked. I encourage positions to be taken. I encourage phone calls and emails. I'm easy to get in touch with. And I'm a very logical person, and I believe that together as a community we can make Lacey Township greater. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Giuliano, is there anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. At this time, the candidates will be given the opportunity to give a closing statement. Mr. Giuliano, your closing statement, please.
First of all, I want to thank you very much for having me tonight. It's been a pleasure. I was a little nervous coming in here, but you made me feel at home. My expertise, like I just explained before, comes in the business end of it, which running the township it's like running a business. It's no different. We need to keep everything in line, the budgets, the municipal tax stable, which we do. Jesse, I mean, he's got a little bit knowledge in the school end of it, but I don't think he's gotten enough behind him to know the business end of it, because that's what it takes to running this town, is to keep it very stable. And that's what I think we've done. I've been there for 3 years, and I look forward to many more to keep Lacey getting greater and greater every year. I really look forward to it. I want to thank you again very much. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Giuliano. Mr. Ernstrom, you now have time to give your closing statement.
I also want to thank you for having this. Getting the community involved is so necessary, especially in today's world. It can be kind of scary out there, and getting together and finding out how we can make a better society is really important right now. And I'm really excited to see you guys as students stepping up to the plate, because that's really awesome. It wasn't really that big. Politics wasn't that big when I was in high school, that's for sure. And the youth is the future. And I think Lacey Township is going to be just okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ernstrom. Thank you both, Mr. Giuliano and Mr. Ernstrom. Thank you for attending tonight's event, and to our viewing audience, please remember to vote on Tuesday, November 7th. Have a great evening.
Thank you.